little video on sleep because it definitely is one of the things that so many of us struggle with, especially as we go through perimenopause and menopause. It really seems like this elusive thing that we're all seeking. And it's really important because, yes, truthfully, our sleep has a huge effect on our overall health. And especially during perimenopause and menopause, it can amplify our symptoms because it's just one more stressor that's adding and amplified during this time. So how do we optimize our sleep when we're struggling so much? So I will say, the first thing I was talking to a colleague the other day, and she was saying all the things that she does before bedtime. She does her meditation, she does whatever, she, makes sure her room is dark, she does all those things. But you know what? And those things are all important, which I'll talk about those at the end. But the thing is, it's what you do during the day that actually sets up your sleep. And so the first thing is getting out in daylight early in the morning, and ideally seeing, if you could see the sunrise, that's really great. But really, no, it's just that blue light, that setting your circadian rhythm. So when you wake up in the morning, you are actually setting your circadian rhythm. You're telling your body, okay, I'm awake now, turn off the sleep system. And then at night, and it doesn't happen the first night, right? It takes time, a pattern, 30 days maybe, to get this rhythm and have it really work. So focusing is on that first morning awakening. And I've been talking about so much of this lately, but stress, if we don't take time during the day, not just before we go to bed, but during the day to self-regulate, right? To take those moments, because truthfully, modern life, which I've been talking about a lot lately, has us thinking that if we don't move faster, we're going to miss something, when actually the key is slowing down. And that slowdown is so important. So take those breaks during the day, whether it's just a couple minutes to take a few deep breaths. Practice it, because believe it or not, you're probably not taking deep breaths. And when you take those deep breaths, it's amazing. So practice deep breathing, maybe just paying attention to your breath for a few minutes, taking those pauses to enjoy a meal or enjoy a cup of coffee without your phone. Maybe, when you feel rushed, do the opposite. Oh, I have to rush to this next meeting. You know what? It's okay. Nobody's dying. I can take my time and get there. Do things like that. Really do. It turns a switch in your brain, and as many times as you can slow down and stimulate your parasympathetic system, it's doing a good thing. And that is really so important. And again, in midlife, when that sleep is elusive, part of it is that stress. So when we can try to build in these little self-regulation times during the day, it can go a long way towards helping. I like to call joy snacks. So think about maybe a moment of joy during the day, something that really truly brings you joy. I always talk about my morning cup of coffee, listening out here to the birds, and it really does do wonders. But so thinking about that, exercise, definitely moving your body through the day, because our bodies are meant to move. We're not meant to sit as much as we do. So even if you do the workout in the morning, make sure you are getting some other movement in during the day. But yes, that exercise is really important, because again, it lets our body, feel tired, that physical feeling of tired. Another big one is, paying attention to when your last meal is. So you want to make sure you have at least 2 or 3 hours before that heavy meal, and so that your digestion is set up to go to sleep. So that's a big one too, that sometimes we don't pay attention to how long or how late we're eating during the day, and that's really good for your metabolic health as well. And then having a nighttime wind down. I was talking about the cell phone, and so the blue light from the cell phone may be part of it, but it's also just the stimulation. So really, your body needs to know. It's kind of like, which people gave this analogy to me the other day, and it's so true. When you think about your child, when you're trying to help your child go to sleep, your toddler, you want your toddler to go to bed, you do all the things, right? You give them a warm bath, you kind of dim the lights, you read a book quietly, you set up that anticipation of that this is time for bed. We often, and I'm guilty of this myself, go 100 miles an hour, go and brush my teeth, do whatever, blah, blah, and then slam myself into bed and okay, go to sleep. And many times, because I'm so exhausted, I will fall asleep. But really, that wind down time before bed is really important, because we need that, because again, with this intensity of our day, our body just doesn't know what to do with it. When you lay in the bed and you're just like, okay, go to sleep. How come I can't sleep? And then sometimes it sets us up for failure, because then we start thinking, well, I need to sleep. I know I need to sleep. So it's taking those moments, an hour wind down routine, an hour before it's time to bed. Plan it, my bedtime is 10 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, I know I need to start winding down. I need to like put my computer away. I need to start, taking my evening shower, brushing my teeth, making my little tea. I like to make tea at night. But whatever that pattern is, like having some pattern so your body knows, okay, it's time to downshift. It's time to relax. It's time to go to bed. Another big thing is making sure that you keep that same sleep-wake time. So I know sometimes you think, oh, I just need to make up on my sleep, but that does more damage actually in the long run, especially as we get older. We really need that kind of consistent sleep pattern. So going to bed at the same time every night, but really waking up at the same time. So even if, one night's a little bit later, keeping that morning wake time is really important for setting that circadian rhythm. So making sure that you maintain that same sleep wake time. And we all need 7 to 9 hours a night. So not to like obsess about it. If you're getting less, think about gradually increasing it, because that 7 to 9 hours, it's a range because we're all different, but that's really the range that we all need. We need that time for our body to recover, right? All of this work that we did during the day, our body needs to, clean up that inflammation. Our brain needs to lay down memories. Our brain needs to clean up. All of that stuff needs to happen, and we need to have that restorative sleep. When we don't have it, it takes a toll. It leads to inflammation, insulin resistance, hypertension. The list goes on. So it really is important to think about it. If you find that you're struggling with sleep, if you get in bed and you're tossing and turning, get out of bed. Don't toss and turn. Get out of bed, because you don't want to associate sleep with struggle, right? So maybe take a gentle stretch. Maybe read with just one single book light or one light. Don't get on your computer, get on the cell phone, do all those things that are going to hype you up again, but do something quiet and gentle. And then when you feel tired again, get back into bed. And recognize that it takes time, like everything else in lifestyle medicine. And we are part of nature. We are natural, so nature does take time. So if you're struggling, give it time. Give it that 30 days to really set up that pattern, get those routines in place. But if you do truly struggle, it is worthwhile. You need to talk about it with your physician. Sometimes you need a temporary sleep aid. Sometimes you need a sleep study. I will say that's a big one for us women in perimenopause and menopause. Incidence of sleep apnea in this age is higher, and it's not necessarily associated with weight. So it's something to think about. If you are struggling, definitely speak to your physician or your provider and be evaluated and address it. So hope this helps. Let me know.